This is the Ryan Smith Podcast.
Smith Show Podcast. This is the Ryan Smith Show Podcast.
This is the Ryan Smith Show Podcast.
Motherfucking Ryan has a show on a podcast?
Integrity. This is a man that you can count on. He's there for you. A name you can trust. Accountability. Honesty. Dependability. An unblemished record of heterosexuality. I can't be enthusiastic about it.
Okay, fake it.
Live at the time. This is the Ryan Smith Show Podcast.
With executive producer, Mr. Kunk.
Here's your host, Ryan Smith.
Ryan couldn't make it today. My name is Walter Matthau. Thank you for joining the program. Today we'll be discussing foreign trade with my good friend Larry Cisneros, as well as the topics involving my relationship with my 4 children. We have Brandon, Ezekiel, we have Wyatt, and my daughter Stephanie. Now, when I met Stephanie's mother, it was in Sweden, 1948. And her mother, she was a homely girl. We had drinks, sat down. She ordered a Manhattan. And I didn't know the Swedes were familiar with New York. But we sat down and we talked. I introduced her to my friend, Larry Cisneros, previously mentioned. And she ended up pressing charges of the physical type, claiming infidelity, but I'd never slept with her to begin with. She was trying to pull some stunt that the Eurotrash, first time I realized that the carpets had been replaced. Not to match the curtains, but to curse the darkness.
Now you can't prove a goddamn thing.
He called me a shithead.
You're a shithead.
He called me a shithead.
You're a shithead. Now you shut the fuck up, do you hear me?
When you go to Sweden and they ask if you want to play Felix, what they mean by that is, do you want to go in the garage? You want to go in the garage? You want to make up a drink? You'll always put it on ice, because it's not. The last time I did it was in 1952. And I sat down with Cary Grant for lunch, and he ordered a Manhattan, and I says, what are you, kind of fruity? And he says, no, but I've been sleeping with your wife. And I says, my wife? He says, yes. Your wife, the mother of Stephanie, your daughter. And I said,
You shut the fuck up, do you hear me?
I couldn't be more proud that I now physically have 2 left feet. And things are good. 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 You know what? I've heard this story a million times, Mr. Matthau, and things are good. I remember I would convince my cock that my left hand was my right hand, because I got tired after the same old thing. I don't want to sit on my hand until it falls asleep and then date rape myself, I want to be the master of my masturbation, and things are good. Never better. Well, they've been better. I remember when, no, I'm just kidding, I don't remember shit. What they don't see, don't hurt me. That's what the old, Ladies and gentlemen, hey, it's Ryan Smith. Thank you for joining us. Take it away, Mr. Smith. Been my pleasure and honor. Take it away. You're a good kid. Thank you guys, everybody. Welcome back to the Ryan Smith Show Podcast. This is Ryan Smith. I hope you're still there. We got a big show for you today. This is the first ever Ryan Smith Show Podcast. One of our guests is a longtime friend.
You haven't known him for that long.
Well, I've known him for quite some time.
Yeah, the fuck you have.
Let me introduce my executive producer first, Mr. Kunk.
That's me, Mr. Kunk. I'm the one that handles the calls. Things are good.
How was your weekend, Mr. Kunk?
Things are good.
Also, we have
what is it? Oh, Cooking with Kunk. Yes, ever since I retired, I decided to start the culinary, experience. I've learned a couple of tricks of the trade, and I know people will definitely benefit from, whatever. Things are good. And then also, later on, we have a special segment that we'll do each show. Mr. Kunk's good friend Larry Cisneros has a segment we're going to call Larryoke. And Mr. Kunk thinks very highly of him. Yeah. Highly. As well as, let me just introduce this show to you guys. This started as a concept, a really bad idea, if you will. Very bad idea. A lot of it is stuff that I just record while I'm driving. Or even if you just got fired. Where's the microphone? There it is. Whatever it is you're doing, just pay attention to the fucking road. Trust me. I'm not allowed to drive a motor vehicle in all 52 states. Things are good. I work my way around it, like, you ever diagram a sentence? And so also after that, these are just dumbass ideas that I come up with on the spot. I just record them front to back. Very little editing done whatsoever. And I appreciate you guys listening. And also, on a personal note, are you like me? Do you suffer from chronic short-term amnesia? Are you like me? Do you suffer from chronic short-term amnesia? Hey, folks, it's me, Mr. Kunk. And are you like me? Do you suffer from chronic short-term amnesia? Hey, folks, it's me, Mr. Kunk. And I'm here to tell you that if you suffer from chronic short-term amnesia, are you like me? Do you suffer from chronic short-term amnesia? Hey, folks, it's me, Mr. Kunk. And I'm here to, are you like me? This is the Ryan Smith Show podcast. Shh. Mr. Kunk. Yeah. How was your weekend? Things are good. I went to a kid's birthday party. Now, it's not my kid, and it ain't my type of party. You know what I mean? But things are good. And so we go over there. And, actually, my neighbors asked me to organize it for them. And I says, okay, what do I have to lose? Mm-hmm. And so he says, bring friends, bring people that you know. And so there's this place down the street from me. I call it the Retard House. Well, people call it the Retard House. I says, don't use that word. Don't use that word. Which word would that be? The R word? No, the Retard House, it's more of like a double wide or a modular. The things are good. And so, so I invite them over there. And a few of them show up, and every one of them that does, they have this, a card with them. And they go around from person to person telling them, hey, sign this for me. Read it over, sign it. And I thought to myself, my good God, it's one of my nephew's birthdays or whatever the little shit. And I didn't get a communal card, nor did I, get drunk at 4 a.m. Go ahead, Mr. Kunk. So the thing is, things are good. And so I think I don't want the retards to outdo me with a communal birthday card. They go around having everyone sign it. And so I go around. I run to the store and I says, hey, look, I got these retards over there at this birthday party for the 7-year-old kid. And they says, okay. And I says, oh, look, things are good. But could you sign this card? And I go from town to town, shop to shop. By the time I get there, everyone's gone. It's dark. It's the middle of summer, and, it gets dark at about 8:45, 9:15. It leaves me a 30-minute window. What the fuck am I supposed to do with a 30-minute window? Well, I'll tell you what I did. I went up to the dad, and I says, look, I got the signatures of everybody in town, and he stops me in my tracks. Mm-hmm. And he says, look, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but those retards you invited? Yeah. I says to him, and he says, they were all child molesters, and they were going around having people sign the release forms. And here I am, I didn't want to make a fool of myself at my nephew's birthday party at my house. Well, it wasn't my house, but I gave him the things are good. And, so, they were just signing release forms so the police forms could get back to their, and, the things are good. Thank you, Mr. Kunk. How was your weekend? Great. Good. We'll be right back. This is the Ryan Smith Show podcast.
And now it is time for another edition of Cooking in the Kitchen with Con.
You know, people often ask me, what do you recommend? A marinade or a meat rub? And I'll tell you the same thing I tells them. You know, the difference between the two is about $35, and let me explain, okay? You know, the things are good. You know, you go around, you price them out, you know. You want to make sure that you're going to get the best bang for your buck, you know, the bang for the wang. So, you know, if you want the rub, I mean, that's pretty much generic, you know. You go over there, you know, and they'll give you the rub. But if you want the marinade, look, we all got our things to lose in life. We all got our problems, you know what I'm fucking saying. And a marinade, it takes up their time as well. And so you give them an extra $35, they'll oil you up, and they'll rub and dug and plug and fuck. But, you know, it depends on the service person. Hell, one time I was with this service animal, this fucking bitch. But anyway, the things are good. So I tell them the difference between a marinade and a good meat rub is about $35. And, things are good.
Table 4. Table for what?
This is the Ryan Smith Show podcast.
No, I haven't told Brandy yet that the water bill for this month is almost $700. $700. We'll talk about the importance of not overwatering this summer, as well as the potential dangerous consequences when we come back. This is the Ryan Smith Show podcast.
Welcome back to the Ryan Smith Show podcast. I'd just like to, voice a concern. Not a concern, what the fuck am I going to do about it? But we all know that guy or that girl. You know, we all know that person in the group who loves the sound of their own voice so much that, let's say, you know, we're in casual conversation. You're sitting outside the bar smoking cigarettes. You're sitting there, you say one thing to, your buddy. Yeah, they agree to talk to somebody else. And then there's that person who just has to raise their voice because you couldn't hear me the first time, And no matter what, it's not like a one-upper where it's like, hey, I flipped my car 4 times. It's like, oh, yeah, well, I flipped 4 cars 10 times. It's not a one-upper. It's just somebody that loves the sound of their own voice so much that it doesn't even matter what they're saying after a while. They will literally physically masturbate to the sound of their own voice. And I mean, what absurdity. Who masturbates to the sound of their own voice? What?
Ryan?
Leave me alone!
Ryan? Are you okay?
In the fucking bathroom, leave me alone!
Why are all your clothes on the floor?
I don't get... What?
Open the door!
No, go away!
Open the door!
Go away!
Are you okay? Ryan?
No, I'm not!
Are you okay?
We'll be right back.
And once again, it is time for another edition of Cooking in the Kitchen with Kunk.
Welcome back to the Ryan Smith Show podcast. This next segment is called Larryoke, and I'll explain. Larry Cisneros is a good friend of Mr. Kunk's, and Mr. Kunk, why don't you take it from here?
Well, thank you very much. Me and Larry met a long time ago. We were at the dog tracks. Now, we weren't doing no betting because we were both broke. Broken, and beaten. We beat the shit out of each other, and, things are good now. And so we were getting to talking, and we stole some guy's kazoo, and I says, do you sing? That's what I do when I'm drunk. I ask people if they sing. What the fuck is wrong? Anyway, things are good, and he says, oh, yeah, I sing, and he blew my mind. Never have I met a more gifted and intuitive, aspirative, but things are good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kunk. And now, without further ado, here to perform Pretty Penny, the Stone Temple Pilots. Here's Mr. Larry Cisneros.
Have you seen your sister fuck? Found purchase some seed. I just witnessed sister fuck.
Mr. Cisneros. Larry, please, thank you.
Jesus
Mr.
Christ.
Cisneros, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I don't think that's how the song goes. Let alone, does anybody want to hear it? This is not counseling, okay? Mr. Kunk?
Yeah, of course. Larry, look, I stuck my dick on the line for you, so just shut the fuck up, clean it up, and 2, 1.
Have you seen your brother Pip?
Jesus Christ.
Keeps on turning gray. Once I saw your sister fuck.
It gets stuck in your head. It does. It gets stuck in your head.
You're listening to the Ryan Smith Show podcast. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Ryan Smith Show podcast. We'll be right back. Are you fucking still there? We're listening to the Ryan Smith Show podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Ryan Smith Show podcast. We'll be right back.
You ever hear of a revolving door? Well, I used to have this revolving whore. I would have her sit on my dick and spin her around like a top. Only around the Jewish holidays, the Chinese New Year's, whenever the banks are closed. And the things are good. They used to come and pick up their children with the Jewish automobiles, and they'd pay with the Jewish currency. And, I told my grandpa, I said, Grandpa, kids are the fucking miserable little shits. I said, Grandpa, well, why do I have to go to school with the Jews? Why do all the Jews go to the same school as me? And you know what my grandfather told me? He told me if I ask another stupid fucking question like that, he's gonna shove his hand so far up my ass, he's gonna wind this watch with his fucking tongue. And, things are good. I miss the bastard. He was Jewish.
This is the Ryan Smith Show podcast. We'll be right back.